you already all know. I'm going to cry. But I've had the pleasure of knowing you now for about 16 years. And I want you to know that she will stand here and she will be confident and she will be passionate and all those things. But she has had a journey just like every single one of us. And I think she's one of the bravest, determined and most focused people I know. Because they'll all stand here and think, wow, isn't she lucky, isn't it great, it's all worked out. But her journey has been amazing. You know, and her passion is her children, that's why she's so successful, she's doing it for her kids. But her knowledge for you today, so sit back and enjoy, that's why we had the toilet break, so you could really enjoy this session, because she will speak from the heart and she will never ask any one person to do something she hasn't done herself. And that's a true leader as well. So over to you, darling.
Thank you, darling. That was so sweet. But look, I'm really glad you're all here today, and I really wanted to talk about, you know, when 2020 ticked over, I saw so many people saying on Facebook and all those sorts of comments, 2020 is my year. Who said that? Who said 2020 is going to be my year? Me. Right? A lot of people did. At the end of 2019, I saw a lot of sad comments on Facebook that said, this hasn't been the best year for me, but next year is going to be my year. Now that's really exciting to see, but now is the time you have to take action. If you want 2020 to be your year, these first few weeks of the year are so important, because if the year starts getting away on you, guess what happens? You start thinking, another year that's not going to be great. And you start getting these crazy thoughts. And then you think, I'll just let this year go and next year will be my year. But you know what? We are not guaranteed a next year. We are not guaranteed a tomorrow. Now, one of the things that I live by is that I think to myself, this is how I bring a reality check back to my life at all times. If I found out tomorrow that one of my children was sick, or something happened to one of my children, I would think to myself, I just wish it was yesterday. I wish it was yesterday before this happened. I wish I could go back one day, and I would love that day so much. So I try to live that way today, because at the moment, I got goosebumps saying it. All my children are well, touch wood. They're all alive and healthy, so this is the best day of my life. Because if something happened tomorrow that changed that, I would want today back. Would you not all? Yeah. Would you not all be like, if only it could be yesterday. Yesterday was so perfect before we knew this. So why are we wasting today? Because we're looking at all the things that we don't have. We're looking at all the things that we wish we had. We're not looking at what we have. And every single day could be your last day. So why are we waiting? Why are we waiting to use the great stuff? Why are we waiting to... I don't wait for anything. I appreciate today. I live in the moment. Now, my story, I'm going to tell you a little bit of a few things about it, because sometimes when people look at certain people, they think, you wouldn't understand. Look, you own the franchise, you travel around the world, your kids are all together. That's not how my life went. When Mary and Laura knew me, I was one of the top leaders with Body Shop at home. I had a BMW, had red number plates. I thought I was happening. I've always been dorky and daggy, don't get me wrong, I've never been perfect. But I had a successful life. Everything was going great for me. I left the Body Shop, I went on to open some gyms with some friends. I lost a lot of weight, opened some gyms. Anyway, long story short, there was 3 of us in the partnership. One wasn't doing the right thing. We lost everything. Went bankrupt. Lost everything. Got divorced, moved interstate, put a lot of weight back on that I'd lost. My life was a former shell of itself. For about 10 years, I worked as a club general manager at Fitness First. Didn't like my job. I'm not good with the boss. I don't like people telling me what to do. I still don't now. Everybody, like Kelly says to me all the time, don't try and tell her what to do. She'll do it the way she wants to do it. It's just me. Mind you, most of the time I don't care. You know, like with Kelly, she's actually my boss. She tells me what we're going to do all the time. But she says to me all the time, if you ever say, no, Kel, we're not doing it that way, I know when you say no, we're going to go your way, because you don't say no very often. But I didn't like being employed there. I hated every day. every Sunday night I used to cry, and I think by the end of it I was like, okay, I'm the hardest worker out there, but by the end of it I was like, what day will I call in sick? Because there's no way I can possibly do 5 days. You know, I was hating my life so much. My kids had gone without so much, and you know, they'd gone from having this great life to having a life where we had to be really careful. And it was just a really tough time. You know, when some people say they have no money, it's different to when other people have no money. Like, we would budget to the cent, and everyone had to ask if they could eat food because it was all accounted for, do you know what I mean, to every meal. And because I'd been in the direct sales space before, people kept approaching me about, you know, getting back into it, and they'd buy me kits, they'd do all sorts of things, but I just couldn't find my thing. And I remember saying to one of my best friends who'd been one of my business partners, it wasn't the one that did the wrong thing, but I kept saying to him, I think Body Shop was just a fluke. Like, I just don't think I've got it. Like, he's like, it wasn't a fluke. And I'm like, well, I can't get anything together anymore. Do you know? Like, I just felt like such a failure. I felt like I was a failure to my kids. And anyway, so I tried a few different things. Nothing was working. I was just like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm so unhappy. And then it's a funny story, but I'm so lucky I didn't end up living under a bridge, because I just decided I was going to quit my job. I knew they'd give me 4 weeks pay, because that's what they did. They gave me 4 weeks pay and you didn't have to work it out. Had no savings whatsoever. So I gave 4 weeks notice, and I did a post on Facebook. And I said, I've quit my job, I'm going to go chase my dreams, no idea what that looks like. Now looking back, I'm like, why did I do that? Like, I was so lucky that things worked out the way they did. So what had happened then is, because I'd been one of the top leaders in Body Shop at Home, I used to win a trip to go over to America to their convention, and I met a lady called Gail McDonald. And she was the top leader in Body Shop at Home in America. And she had come from Tupperware. So she knew Tom. So she had said to Tom, it's funny how things happen, isn't it? She had said to Tom, if you ever go to Australia, you should look this girl up, Rebel Whale. So he had friend requested me many years ago, and he'd contacted me about another company, and I'd said, no, I'm not interested. Anyway, he saw that post, and he messaged me and said, funny thing is, our CEO is coming to Australia next month. Would you be interested in meeting with him? So I said, okay, and they flew me down, thank God, because I had no money. They flew me down to Sydney, and I had a day with Scott. And I fell in love with the jewellery, I fell in love with the story, and I thought, wow, this really could be it for me. You know, maybe this is where I need to go. Anyway, they were talking about having a franchise. Now, I'm starting to have a panic attack, because I'm like, how am I going to have a franchise? Like, I can't even, like, my car was unregistered. Do you know what I mean? How am I going to have a franchise, you know? And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is not good. You know, I'm going to have to tell them soon. But I thought, I'm not going to tell them yet. You know, you just keep thinking, oh, I don't know how I'm going to do this. So I just kept rolling along with it. So I had another friend, and I said, could I borrow some money off you? Don't do this, please, what I'm telling you. This is very risky. But I said, can I borrow some money off you and do some Facebook advertising? Because I'd learned some Facebook stuff before. So I was doing some Facebook advertising on borrowed money. And that was going really well. And I met a lady who was in another direct sales company through my Facebook ad, and she was going to do a franchise as well. Anyway, so they said to me, we'll fly you over, we'd like to fly you over to America to see the convention. I thought, thank goodness they're paying, because I have no money. And the week before, this is just to give you context, the week before I went to Vegas for that, to just talk about opening a franchise, I took Julia and my dog to the dog park in my unregistered car. I'm not proud I had an unregistered car, but sometimes you have no money, you don't know what to do. And on the way to the dog park, the police were there, and they did a random breath test. So I'm in the car with my daughter, and they say to me, your car's not registered. Julia's sitting beside me, and like, I instantly started to cry. And like, we have to get out of the car, and Julia's like, it's all right, Mummy. Like, you know, they're really hard things to deal with when I'm a goody-goody. I do everything right. So we got out of the car, and the policeman felt so sorry for me because I was crying so hard. And Julia was trying to be like, it's okay, Mum, you know. But, you know, you feel like such a failure. You know, you feel like your kids are there watching, like, and you've driving an unregistered car. Like, what else could go wrong? Anyway, so I said, come on sis, we'll put CJ back in the car. And we got home and anyway, I was so embarrassed. I told the boys what happened and, you know, like they're like, it's all right, Mum, like, we'll sort it out. Anyway, so my mum lent me some money and I got the car registered, but you get huge fines for doing that when you drive your car unregistered and uninsured. So on top of not being able to do it, I've got all these fines and I'm like, I don't think I'm ever going to get out of this. And anyway, so I went to Vegas and that was really great. I had a great time in Vegas, but I still hadn't talked to them about the financial situation, you know. So I'm trying to, I'm excited, but I'm like, when do I tell them, you know, like, and then anyway, my best friend picked me up from the airport, and when I got in the car, I was bursting into tears. It's like, what? And I'm like, it's just such a great opportunity, but this is never going to leave me. I'm never going to get back. I've lost everything. I can't tell them. And he's like, stop crying. Like, there's other solutions to this. Like, just sit down and tell them and work out what you can do next. And so I did. I told them, and they said, well, look, this other lady's going to have a franchise. Why don't you just go in under her and do it that way? Now, I didn't want to do that either. Like, I don't want to do that. But you know, life's really funny sometimes in that the best things happen at the right time. And that was actually the best thing that could have happened to me, because I then went on and built a business that was turning over a few $100,000 within months. And if I'd had the franchise, I couldn't have done it so fast. You know, I had the freedom to just build. And, you know, so very quickly things turned around. But I just want to read you a little thing. My daughter writes me letters all the time, Park Lane on my Park Lane notepad. But going back to the story of feeling so embarrassed in the car with that, I think my children have had such great life lessons, you know, from having a mum who travelled overseas, bought them all great clothes, home and presents, to losing everything we ever had. You know, I can remember once my big boy, my children are now, Julia's 18, Jackson's 20 and Jordan's 22. And I can remember my big boy in the service station saying to the little ones, put those ice creams back, we've got to get Paddle Pops, Mum's got no money. Do you know, they started to learn lessons. They started to learn that, you know, we've got to stick together. But, you know, after Julia seeing me in the car that day, every time I go away, she writes me a letter when I get back. It's just written on my computer. So this was the letter. To dear Cinderella, cough, cough, I mean the one and only Rebel Michelle Whale. You are the world's best mother, just in case you don't already know this. I love you with all my heart, Mum. I am proud of you, Rebel, to have the privilege to call you my mum. You consistently achieve higher goals than I thought possible. You are a rock star at your job and everyone knows it because they would have to be blind not to know. You surprise me every day with the new ideas you have for work. You mean the world to me, Mum, even if sometimes I don't show it. You are my best friend and you are just amazing. No other words. I love you more than I can explain. Much love, Juju. But you know what? To have someone write that after you felt such a failure, you have to realise that every person that says it's not for them, that's okay. It doesn't matter. If they're not paying your bills, why do you get so offended by it? If I hadn't have been brave enough, do you think when I first started doing parties, my car broke down all the time and had this thing, was an automatic, but you'd be driving along and it just revved. Do you know what I mean? You'd have to pull up, turn it off, turn it back on and drive. My poor boy, who's the oldest, says to the other two, you are so lucky. I had to learn to drive in that thing. Like, Mum, like, oh shit, it's happening, pull up. So he says, you are so lucky. But I used to have to park around the corner at parties because 9 times out of 10 my car wouldn't start and I didn't want the hostess to see the tow truck come. So, and the tow truck driver knew me by name. He'd be like, hey Rebel, you really need to get a new car. And I'd be like, no shit, Sherlock. But sorry, I forgot it's like. But you know, well, how do you think I might do that? Do you know, I had times in that period that my washing machine broke and we used the laundromat for 3 months. Now, people, that's expensive. Laundromats are expensive to use, but I could come up with the money for the laundromat. I couldn't come up with the money for the washing machine. People don't, some people's broke and other people's broke are very different. You know, I feel sad for some things, like my kids would come home from school, they might have ripped their shirt. And I don't know about you, but when you're really stressed, you go really mad at them. You're like, oh my God, why aren't you more careful? Like, I can't afford, because you're just so panicked that doesn't fit in the budget. And I've said to the kids over the years, I'm really sorry I did that. It was just really stressful time. But you become someone you don't want to be because you have nothing left, you know. You are so stint for money that if something goes wrong, you don't know how you're going to fix it. But, you know, I think the thing is, if you will accept the no's, you will never get out of those. Imagine if I just thought, you know, do you think when I started Park Lane that I looked like this, that I've had the confidence that they have after everything I'd been through? No. All my friends knew I'd lost everything. I felt like people, because I'd tried a few things in between, Body Shop and doing Park Lane, I felt like people thought, here she goes again. You know, I felt like I didn't have any credibility left, because when I left Body Shop, I felt like I could take on the world, but I didn't after I'd had some failures. But do you know what? I love those 3 kids more than there are any words in this world. And I was not going to let them. I said, this is not how it finishes. And if you take no's from people, you are robbing yourself and you are robbing your family of the most amazing life. Now, on a positive note, I started in March of 2014. By that August, we hadn't had a family holiday in 10 years. Because when you are on that sort of a budget, you ain't got no money for holidays. You are struggling to live. So, I qualified for Aruba. We didn't even know where Aruba was. My big boy's doing grade 12, he couldn't come. But the other 2 came with me, and off we go to Aruba. Now, they say to us, you get these cards and everything's paid for. We went to Aruba with no money, nothing. We were still broke by that point. So I said to the kids, we don't know that's how it happens, so we got to be careful. So for 3 days, we're going to just go and we're going to use the card once a day and then go and check what's on it, because we have no money to pay if this isn't what it seems. So everyone else is just doing everything. We're like being like careful. First day we go, but can I just check my account? No, there's nothing on there. I said to the kids, well, that's a good sign. Nothing didn't go on. But I said, maybe it takes a couple of days. We went up on day 2, nothing. I said, one more day, guys, just one more day. Went up on day 3, nothing. I said, do what you want. They were on at 9 o'clock in the morning and having one. They were just like, this is the most amazing. Aruba had a private, the hotel we stayed at had a private island. So you would get in a boat, go to the private island. The private island had flamingos on it, so you could feed the flamingos. Do you think for 1 second when we were there that I worried about anybody who said no to me? My kids were like, Mom, we are so lucky to have you. Like, you're so clever. Do you know, my kids think they can achieve anything now, because they have watched us lose everything and come back. I hear them tell people stories. My mum lost everything. We were so broke and she turned everything around. Do you want to be that person for your family and friends? If you do, why are you letting someone's opinion take that opportunity away? I don't think there's anyone broker in the room than I was. And I don't mean that like poor me, but we had nothing. We lost everything. But if you want something enough, you will find a way. I had no credibility, but you know what? I didn't care. I just powered through the no's. I powered through the no's, because guess what? The more no's you get, you're closer to a yes. But what we tend to do is it just chips at us. It chips at us, it chips at us, it chips at us, it chips at us, to a point where we go, don't do this anymore, it doesn't feel nice. Neither does being broke. Neither does losing everything. But like now, I've got a daughter who's 18, who she's got a title belt in Muay Thai. She's learning Jiu-Jitsu. She's focusing on boxing. She wants to be in the UFC. You know, my kids have big goals. I've got a son who's doing law school. Do you know, my kids have big goals, and that's because they watch their mother. You know, you want to get letters like that of how proud I am. Don't let other people take that away from you. You have the ability at any given time to say, this is not how my story is going to end. Anytime. But you've got to do the work. That's the thing. When I first started, I was relentless on my work ethic. But I had to be, to make it work. And if I told you the work I had to do to get it off the ground, you might say, I don't want to do that. But then people look at me and go, but I'd like your life. Well, you've got to trade one for the other. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be forever, but it has to be for a period of time. Because if you don't, you will never get where you want to go. And you know, people live in their comfort zones. And that's fine. But how often do you think, I'm so frustrated with where I'm at? Is it really comfortable there? Really? Probably not. You know? Because the thing is, you get one life. One. And it's really, really short. I've got friends my age that have heart attacks and die. I don't want to do that. You know, most of you know that recently I've lost about 22 kilos. And that was another thing in my life. It was one of the, kind of final things, that I needed to sort out in my life. It was one of the things I felt like I didn't have control of, and I am very disciplined. I live by non-negotiables. So what a non-negotiable is to me, it's the most powerful thing I can do for myself. A non-negotiable is something I will never negotiate on, and I use it all the time for work. I don't do non-negotiables that I will negotiate on, because guess what? They lose all their power. You negotiate a non-negotiable once, it's not a power thing anymore. For me, if I make a non-negotiable for me with my weight loss was that I was going to drink 2 litres of water every day, I was going to exercise 5 days a week, and I was going to watch everything I put in my mouth. So if I got to 10 o'clock at night and I hadn't drunk the 2 litres of water, guess what? I was sitting at 10 o'clock at night sculling 2 litres of water. I was up all night. It was horrendous, but you know what? I thought I'm going to start that earlier tomorrow. But my non-negotiable was I would drink it. And non-negotiables for me, it's so funny when you get your head right on anything. I've been trying to lose weight for so long. Couldn't do it. Tried, failed. This time I sat down. And you know what? This is the thing that got me over the line with even the weight loss, right? I said to myself, well, actually, my old personal trainer who helped me the first time lose the weight said to me, because I said, I just can't lose weight anymore. He said, you can't lose weight. I was like, no, I've tried, I can't lose weight. And he said to me, okay, so if the government came along and said, Rebel, if you don't lose 20 kilos by this date, we're going to come and take your children off you. Could you lose weight? I was like, yes. And he was like, so you can lose weight, you just haven't got your why right. And that one statement made me think, he is so right. I have not got my why right. So what I did was I sat down and I wrote down all the reasons why I want to lose weight and all the reasons why that was important to me. I just sat there and wrote this list over days. I want to lose weight because, and it's important to me because. When I finished that, I had pages and pages. Then I wrote a list of all the things in the past that had been a hurdle. Why I couldn't, what happened in the past, where I put the weight back on, what had happened. Once I got my head into that place, I was like, I got this. Every morning I would get up and read that list of why I wanted to do it, and it would make every decision different. Everything you do that's important to you in life, you've got to put some work into. You've got to get this right. If you don't get this right, when this is right, anything works. When this isn't right on anything, nothing works. You know, I hear so many people that just give you every excuse as to why things aren't working, but you've got to change that sort of thought process. If something's not working, you've got to go find somewhere else to make it work. Do you think I just get up every day and I feel motivated? No, I don't. I have processes that I do. I treat this like a business. If you treat Park Lane like a business, it will pay you like a business. If you treat Park Lane like a hobby, it will pay you like a hobby. The thing I find fascinating is we will go to a job 8 hours a day and do what they tell us to do for 8 solid hours exactly and get paid a minimum amount. But when we do Park Lane, if we're really honest, we might do the things we should do for half an hour a day maybe. And then we expect it to pay us really well. And then we're like, it doesn't really work. Isn't it funny how it's just conditioning? We're conditioned to go to work and get paid this amount. We'll do whatever they say to do, because that's our job. But when we're our own bosses, we're nowhere near as disciplined as that. But if you could be, imagine what, I want you to all think right now, what could you do if you spent 8 productive hours on Park Lane every day? It's crazy what you could achieve. Crazy what you could achieve. You could live the life of your dreams. But you know what? If you did 8 hours a day, you know what you'd probably do? Fiddle around. Because we want to do the nice to-dos. We don't want to do the need to-dos. If you did the need to-dos, if you booked shows in, if you hostess coached, if you followed up with customers, if you followed up with potential recruits, for 8 hours a day, do you know how much you would get done? Do you know how big a business you would have? And I'm not saying you have to do it for 8 hours a day, but most of us have a job for 8 hours a day in life as a rule. You know, most people work full time. And we don't bat an eyelid at doing that. But if you're really honest, you probably don't do anywhere near that for your part-time business. But imagine what you could do if you did. And you know what? You're only limited by yourself. Truly you are in this business. There is nobody in this room that couldn't be. It's like the Marianne Attard story I told you. Not a friend or family would do a show for her, not one. She had to go and meet every single person that she got brand new. Top seller in peak trade. Earned 2 tickets on the cruise. Do you know? It is there for everybody. But you have to want it. I've got a few notes here that I'm going to run through. You can learn anything you need to learn to achieve any goal you can set for yourself. There are no real limits on what you can accomplish except the limits you place on your own mind and imagination. If you decide to join the top 10% of people in your field, nothing on earth can stop you getting there except yourself. That's a very true statement. The top 10% of any field started as the bottom, and they just learned. Do you know, I watch a Park Lane training video every day of my life. Now people say, how do you have all this information? Because I watch stuff every day. I learn from the best. I don't just expect to know this stuff. And you know what? So often when I watch something, I'm like, oh yeah, that is so good. I used to do that. Why don't I do that anymore? But, you know, when is the last time you went and did some training? Or, you know, we often get to a point where we think, yeah, I've got this. But you know what? Go and watch something. Go and better yourself. I get up every morning and watch a motivational video. I watch one training video every single day. I have all these non-negotiables that I do to be the best that I can be. I don't wake up every day just jumping out of bed feeling like I'm going to take on the world, but you know, my responsibility to my organisation, my responsibility to my family and friends and to the world is to be the best me that I can be. And to do that, I have to have good stuff in so I can have good stuff out. If you're not doing that, you've probably got so much room to grow. But you've got to do that stuff. At any given time, you have the power to say, this is not how my story ends. I say it over and over and over to myself. When things aren't going the way I want, I'm like, this is not how my story ends. We're starting again. I revisit everything regularly. I never sit still. I go, okay, here we go again. Let's make some changes. Let's move. Again, as I said, I would encourage you to put these 2 signs up in your office. Don't confuse activity with accomplishment. I've been busy all day, busy doing what? Ask yourself, what did I achieve today? Don't confuse activity with accomplishment. Is what I'm doing right now getting me closer to my goals or further away? If it's further away, stop doing it. Is what I'm doing right now getting me closer to my goals or further away? Now Mary's doing a session on goal setting, so I didn't include anything in here because it will be amazing, but if you do not have rock solid goals, it makes it much harder to achieve what you want to achieve in life. It's like shooting an arrow and not knowing where the target is. My goals are so rock solid. I know exactly where I need to be. I look at them daily. I am so disciplined in that respect. Happiness is an inside job. Nobody is going to make you happy. People can contribute to your happiness, but nobody can make you happy. Nothing can make you happy. You have to choose to be happy. You cannot control what happens to you in life, but you can control how you react to it, and you have to learn how to do that. If there's something in your life that you know you are self-sabotaging yourself on, buy that rubber band. Put it on your wrist. Flick yourself when you do it. You have to break the habit. We have a habit of self-sabotaging ourselves by the conversations that we have with ourselves. I'm not good at that. I can't do that. No, I'm going to be great at that. I'm learning to be better at that. Think about your word choices about yourself. If you wouldn't say what you say about yourself about your best friend, stop saying it about yourself. Because the most important conversations you will ever have in your life are the conversations you have with yourself. I'm a bad driver. Well, guess what? You are. If you're going to tell yourself that, you are. Because that's what you'll become. You have to be careful of those conversations. I'm not good at bookings. Guess what? You won't be. Because that's the thought you're putting into your head. I'm learning to be better at bookings. That you've got to watch your word choices. If you are not good at getting bookings, go and watch every single person that does a video on how to get bookings. Now, you don't have to do everything they say, but it might be one thing they say that you go, oh my God, now I know what I'm going to do. If you want to be the best, go learn from people who do that well. So you can't stand up and say, I don't know how to do this, this and this, when all that's available for you if you wanted it. Or you can get up and say that, but you can't blame anybody but yourself because the information's there. But it doesn't mean you have to take it. It just means if you want to live your absolute best life and you really want this to be successful, you have to do the work. And you know, sometimes I have conversations every single day and I'm just like, I'll let them finish and then I will challenge them on what they've just said. And so often they're like, you're right. It's not that I know everything, I just hear the story over and over and over and over and over and over again. There's no better opportunity out there than Park Lane. There really isn't. Would you agree? You see, you know, when Amy was standing up the front, I'm still blown away by the bling. I was looking at her hands, I was looking at her beautiful nails, I was looking at her bracelet. I was just like, this stuff is so pretty. We sell beautiful jewellery. It has an unconditional lifetime guarantee. We have an amazing hostess rewards plan. We have an amazing customer sale. We go into people's homes and, you know, one thing I used to say at shows all the time is, you know what, this is a little bit of a morbid thing to say, but so often we only really catch up with our friends at things like funerals. And every time we do, we say, we must catch up when it's not a sad occasion. What better way than to have a few friends over, have some champagne, try on some beautiful jewellery and have a fun time. Just makes people think, you're right, you know. I really should get my friends together. You've got to be careful as well that you have posture in what you're offering. Who here has often felt like they nearly need to beg someone to have a party? Because that's your perception. I would never beg someone to have a party for me because I am offering them an amazing experience. And how you present it is how they perceive it. So for me, I'm going to say, you've got to sit back and work out what you're giving them. So I'm going to give them a great afternoon. I'm going to have some great styling tips to help them. I'm going to make sure that their friends get a great customer sale. I'm going to make sure that I've host coached them really well so they get lots of free jewellery. They're going to have a great catch up with their friends and they're going to thank me for coming. So I'm going to offer it really differently than if I think, oh please, could someone book a party? Because I'm not in parties and I really suck at this. And can you see what I mean? You've got to think about what you're offering to people and offer it with confidence. Because you know, for me, I am going to talk about joining Park Lane and the Park Lane opportunity because look at what it's done for my life. For me, I feel like I'm doing a disservice by not offering it to other people. But some of us feel like we're begging people to join our team. Nobody wants to be begged to do something. It's all about working on yourself to be the best you that you can be. We don't want anybody to be anybody else, but you've got to work out who you are and be the best you that you can be. Because you will never get a better opportunity than Park Lane. And the thing I love about Park Lane is it can be different things for different people. It can be what it is to me that my full-time income. It can be someone who works full-time who just wants to help pay for a holiday or buy a car. It can be a mum that stays at home and just wants some me time. It can be anything you want it to be. But the thing is, you have to make sure that you're not putting your beliefs onto them. Because Anita, for example, Anita's one of our top-selling consultants in the Park Lane Rentals franchise, has been for 5 years?
Yeah, over 5 years now.
I know Anita's got a great life, she lives in a great community, I know what she, like, it's no point going, Anita, you can do this, you can do that, you should do this. It's what Anita wants. My job's just to find out what that is and help her get to that. You can't want for people more than they want for themselves. You can stretch them. You can say, you should go for this trip with us, but you can't want. I needed this to be really big for me. And you know what? The lady that the franchise I went into, I didn't get on with her. I'm just going to put it out there. That's why I ended up doing my own franchise. But you know what? I could have said, I don't like her. She's not very nice to me. She's not very nice to my team. So I'm going to quit because I could have blamed her for everything. But I succeeded for me. I didn't have anyone to help me. So when people say, I haven't got this, I haven't got that, I go, neither did I. I had to work it all out myself. But when you want something badly enough, you do whatever it takes. And I'm just really grateful that I'm able to stand here today and hopefully inspire you to go out and chase your dreams, because I could have been in a completely different place. But the harder you work on yourself, the more you're going to love your life. And it really, you don't know how many days you've got left. The 3 things that I do every single day is I wake up every single morning before my feet hit the ground. I think of 10 things I'm grateful for. Now you might think, really? But you know what? You start thinking about all the things you've got, not all the things you haven't. 10 things I'm grateful for. And when you get out of bed, you feel so much better. I just have processes that I do to be who I am today. If you will follow those things, I watch a motivational video, I watch a Park Lane training video, and I have structure in my day. I treat this like my job. I don't just willy-nilly work out what's going to happen when, because guess what? I am easily distracted. So if I do that, nothing will get done. I go to Boonchu every single morning at 9:30, and I've got sore hips now, so I can't keep, but I do boxing for 5 rounds with a friend, and I hold pads for him for 5 rounds. Do that every single morning at 9:30. Now, so many mornings I think, I don't want to go to Boonchu, I've got too many things to do, I don't want to go. That's one of my non-negotiables. There's never been a day that when I finish, I don't feel better for going. Sometimes you just got to make yourself do things, because afterwards you feel better. If I didn't have that as a non-negotiable, I wouldn't turn up half the time. But I do, and afterwards I'm like, oh wow, I feel great now, ready to start my day. You've got to work, you've got to be disciplined. If you want things in life, you've got to be disciplined with how you get them. So I hope that this has inspired you in some small way, and I hope that you do make 2020 the year that you go and chase your dreams, and I encourage you to not let any setbacks get in your way. Every time you have a setback, think of the people that you love, think of the people that do support you. If your family don't support you, don't talk to them about what you do. Don't open yourself up to get that criticism. If they're not supportive, don't talk to them. I don't mean ever, but just don't talk to them about business. You know, like for me, you know, you've got to keep thinking, if someone gives you something that stings, you need to think to yourself instantly, you do not pay my bills. So why am I letting you affect my future?
I love that.
You've got to think about that every single time. Because guess what? Sometimes people don't want you to outgrow them. Yeah. They don't want to step up in life, and they don't want you to. You know, my circle is so supportive and tight. One of my best friends, we started on the weight loss journey together. She hasn't done it as quickly as me, but she's still so supportive of me. I went to do pads, the guy that I do it with, his dad's sick and he couldn't do it. She said, you can do it with me tomorrow. I was like, okay, and I turned up thinking it was going to be really fun. She had all this stuff set. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, no, we're doing a session. You want to do this? And I'm like, you're my friend. And she's like, no, not today. And like she put me through this, she's like, skip. I'm like, I hate skipping, I'm not skipping. Get the rope and skip. And like, you know, she put me through this crazy session. I thought I was going to die.
I saw you skipping.
I know. She said, I thought I was going to die. Mind you, I really should go on the toilet before I skip. But 3 kids later. But, you know, she put me through this crazy session, but that's the people I surround myself with. She could have just fiddled around with me and had fun, but she's like, no, you were doing this. I have everybody around me, and if I find somebody that's not that way, I still love them, but I just don't spend too much time with them. Because if I'm going to get to where I want to go in life, I've got to have good people around me. I've got to have people that love and support me and encourage me. Do you know, my kids came to Vegas, I'm not sure it was last year or the year before, but it was actually the year that we went to Switzerland. So we went to Switzerland, all of us, the 4 of us. We'd never even seen snow. The first place we see snow is Switzerland. And we were just like, oh my God, I seriously wanted to pinch myself the whole time because it was like picturesque. and the boys snowboarded, and we went to, I think we flew back through America. I don't know how it worked, but we did that same year. We did Universal Studios, we did Disneyland. The kids all came to Vegas. We won top franchise in the world. My kids came up on stage while we got the trophy. Do you think I care what people said no? Like, how do you put a price on that? My kids came up on stage. They'd known we were desperate. Not many people have actually gone bankrupt. Like, you can't even get a phone in your name when you go bankrupt. I had to get my phone in a friend's name because they wouldn't even give me a phone in my name. Do you know how humiliating that is? You can't even get a phone in your own name. You can't even get electricity in your. You can't do anything. It's debilitating. But then we turned everything around. We're on stage winning top franchise in the world. Do you not think that I didn't give a shit who said no? But you've got to be bigger than the no's. But you've got to work, if those no's are hurting you, you've got to work on you. How you deflect that. How, why is that hurting you? You've got to be able to, I do this all the time. That's just my little thing when I can't get ripped past something, I'm dusting that one off. And I just think, I'd never have that conversation with that person again. People don't tend to challenge me now, though, because they look at my life and like, you're successful. But they certainly challenged me in the beginning. Because I wasn't, So, I hope you walk away from here, and by saying that 2020 is your year, I hope you will be brave, and I hope you will step up and live the life you were born to live, and inspire others, including your family and friends, because one shot. I try to be anybody else than I am. When you get to know me, I'm the dorkiest, weirdest person you'll ever meet. But that's okay, because that's me. You just got to do you, but be the best you that you can be, because everything in life is there for you. You just have to work out how you're going to reach up and take what you're after. All right, are we at lunch?
Yeah.
Just wait a second.
Nearly, yes. Guys, did anyone just feel like they just had an Oprah session in church?
Yeah.
Blonde, beautiful bombshell Oprah over here. Park Lane, Australia's version of Oprah. I am absolutely in awe. And, I was Rebel's Uber driver yesterday. I was like, how are you, Laura? And I was like, whoa! And I told her all these things. She sat there and listened. And, we shared a few things, but I think you knew what you were going to say today. And it was like, why waste my breath saying it twice? How about just say it once and you can listen once? So I know every single person in this room felt like Rebel was talking to you. Well, I'm sorry, she was actually talking. But I'm never stuck for words, and I've heard your story before, but today it was just so, so deeply different today to hear it today. And I do believe perhaps it's because you have ticked that weight loss box, and it's really kind of completely tied a bow on your success and your heart. So
thank you.
That was incredible, and I'm going to emotionally eat at lunch now. Thank you so much.
And I want you to think about this year. Choose your heart. I want you to think about that. Choose your heart. So for me, being overweight was hard, losing weight was hard. Choose your heart. Getting a booking in your diary is hard, having no bookings is hard. Choose your heart. Choose your heart. Both are hard, but if you'll get on the phone and practice and learn how to get the bookings and you fill your diary, you fix the problem. If you never do, it's always hard. I live by that now. Choose your heart, Rebel. It was the reason that I went on to lose weight is I have moderate to severe osteoarthritis in my hips, and I was in severe pain. I thought, I'm going to end up, and Emily's nodding because I was saying to her, what am I going to do, Emily? I am in so much pain all the time. And I actually said to my mum, I think I'm going to end up in a wheelchair. I'm in that much pain. I was over 100 kilos. It was just killing me. And I was like, well, you need to choose your heart. It's hard being overweight. It's hard losing weight. Which one do you want to do? And you know what? It was much easier to choose the heart of losing weight and get there than it was to stay where I was. So just think about that. Choose your heart. Next time you think something's hard, choose hard. Thank you.
Thank you.